Okay, let's give you a bit of a review to set the scene for today's daf. We had a Mishnah that was describing a man, two men married to two women. One man died. The women were sisters. So now it's asur as achas ishto. But then his wife dies. The live person's wife dies. The answer is that what? That no. Once she fell, at that time, she falls in front of him. That's it. What happens if the man would go ahead and have relations with her? How many surim would be over? Would be over the isur of either one or two? That's the possibilities. And we said it's a machloikis tanoim. Rabbi Yossi said you're over on both the isur of your brother's wife and the isur of your wife's sister. Right? You would be over on both. According to Rabbi Shimon, you'd be over on one. Which one would you be over on? Whichever one came first. If the isur of your wife came first, you'd be over on wife's sister came first. Eishes Achla came first. The Gemara then questioned Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said that what? Isur chalal isur, and therefore you're over twice. What happens in the case of chamoso, where a man lives with his mother-in-law and she's Eishes Ach? Well, it depends which one came first. If the isur, she was an almana when you married her daughter, then the isur of chamosa came first, and when she remarried, then the isur of achas of Eishes Eishes Ish came, or if she was married at the time and then became your mother-in-law, she was married before she was usher to you before she became your mother-in-law as Eishes Ish. Okay, so if he's of the opinion that Eishes Chalal Isser, then why in the world by there is it different? So the Gemara is Machadesh, a din of Issa Moisef. Here's the din of Issa Moisef. Guys, listen, this is very clearly, very, very important to get this chilik between Issa Moisef and Issa Kailul. I didn't have it a roice on Friday, I have it a roice today. And very important. This is the whole share depends upon understanding the following concept. Let's say Ruvain marries a woman Machla right now. Marries her Machla. Machla has a bunch of sisters. Ruvain can't live with those sisters, right? But any one of Ruvain's brothers could go ahead and marry those sisters, not a problem. They're mutter. They're only usher on Ruvain. They're mutter to the rest of the world. Good? Now, if one of Ruvain's brothers goes ahead and marries one of those sisters, so what happens now? All the brothers are usher because of Ruvain's shidduch. All the brothers are usher to Ruvain's shidduch. In addition, okay, so now, what happened with this shidduch? Since all the brothers become Asa, because it's now the wife of Ruvain, that would then make it what? Asa to Shimon. That woman would be Asa to Shimon, because you were Moisef all these other women. They would be Asa to Shimon. Okay? That's this Isha that was just simply the wife of Shimon. She was simply the wife of Shimon. She wasn't, one second, that doesn't make any sense. She is a Eishesach at this point in time. So she is Eishesach at this point in time. It's the wife of Reuven, excuse me, right. When Shimon was married, it's Reuven's wife under discussion, guys. It's Reuven's wife under discussion. So Shimon's married to this woman. All the other women are permitted. Reuven now marries the sister. So that goes ahead and makes Shimon's wife Asa, not only all the women were Asa to him, but all the other brothers are also Asa. So it's Asa as Eishes Ach. So since you're Moisef, the Issa of Eishes Ach, Reuven's Moisef, the Issa of Eishes Ach, it goes on him too. Issa Kailul is the following. When the woman was previously Asa, so for example, this woman was Eishes Ach already, and now someone goes ahead and marries a sister. So now you're getting all the other sisters are going to be Asr. You didn't add any Isser to an existing Isser. Where there's no Isser and now you create the Isser, that's called Isser Moisef. Where there's no Isser at all, where there is a previous Isser, and you can't marry because this woman is married to your brother. In that case, whatever Isser you come is going to go ahead and add on to that. Can we give you a good example of that? Let's say you have a piece of nevela. You have a piece of nevela. You can't go ahead and eat nevela. Nevela is also to eat. It's Isser Achila to eat nevela. You can't eat it. Let's say now you would cook it in milk, and now it becomes basa b'chalav. So now you added on an Isser that wasn't there previously, right? Because now it's Asa b'hana. That would be an Isser Moisef. You created an Isser that wasn't previously there. Okay, let's say you would go ahead now and sell it. So you have an Isser Hana, and now you eat it. Let's say you would eat it now. So you're eating basa b'chalav. Whatever you do afterwards, unless it creates another Isser. So now you have the Isser Achila, you have this Hana. Whatever you do afterwards is going to be an Isser Kaila. I'll give you a better example. Let's say now you have basa b'chalav. It's basa b'chalav, and then that's not a good example. Let's say you would go ahead and have a nevela, and then you would go ahead and a treifa. Now treifa nevela I can't do. In other words, I'm trying to figure a case where I have an existing isser, and I don't add anything onto the isser. So I have the isser guys of Eishes Ach. This is my brother's wife, and now my brother marries a sister, and I marry a sister. I was already also usher on this woman because she was my brother's wife. I'm not going ahead and marrying a sister. When I marry a sister, I become usher on all the other sisters, right? So I have a bunch of sisters that I'm usher to. That does not change the fact that I had an existing Yisr. So when you have an existing Yisr and you want to go ahead and you don't create more Yisurim to anybody, because Achas Ish is always Asa, then what? Then it's Yisr Kailo. Where I add, where it's my wife's sister, and now it becomes Eishes Ach, and becomes Asr on all my brothers, it also becomes Asr on me. Okay, so the Gemara wanted to say that this Isser Kailo is a Machloikis Tanoim. We have Machloikis between Rabbi, well, actually, I would say the Tanoim, Rabbi Chia and Bar Kapara. Rabbi Chia and Bar Kapara, let's say a man, three scenarios, guys. A Zar does the Avodah on Shabbos. We know a Zar, a non-Kohen can't do the Avodah, and he does it on Shabbos. So says Rabbi Chia, he's over on two things. He's over on Zarus of doing the Avodah, and he's over in Chilul Shabbos. Says Bar Kapara only over one. Second case, a Balmum. A Balmum goes ahead and he's Tameh. He can't do the Avodah. Now he's going to the Beis HaMikdash Tameh, right? He does that when he's Tameh. Says Reb Chia, over two. Says Rabbi Yossi, says Bar Kapara, one. A Zor, any person eats, any Zor eats Malika. He's eating what? He's eating Kachim, and in addition to that, he's a Zor, right? He's eating Kachim, and he's a Zor, and Malika is Nevela. So you chayiv twice, right? You be chayiv for eating Kachim, and you be chayiv for eating what? Nevela. Says Bar Kapara, you only chayiv once. Bar Kapara, you only chayiv once. So three scenarios. So now, what's the Sfaras HaMachloikis by Rabbi Chia that you chayiv twice, and Bar Kapara you chayiv once? So that is our introduction. And Issa Moisif, guys, meaning you're eating on to other people in Isser, I get schlepped along, and Issa Koilel, you don't change this at all. It's still Asr, it was always Asr, and you just Koilel in more Isurim. Says, my Kamifliki, Be Issa Koilel, the Aliba de Rabbi Yossi, all right? They're arguing by Issa Koilel according to Rabbi Yossi. Again, Rabbi Yossi is the one who holds that if a man has relations with his Eishes Ach, his wife's brother, his brother's wife, and Achas Ishtoi, and his wife's sister, you chayiv twice. And now in that shita, as opposed to Rav Shimon who says you only chayiv once, in that shita we have whether it's Issa Koilo. Rav Chia Sava, Rabbi Yossi be Issa Koilo mechayiv tarti. Rav Chia is of the opinion that Issa Koilo, Rabbi Yossi would hold Yechayiv, meaning we would hold Issa Chalal Issa by Issa Koilo. And the Gemara is going to say, what is the Issa Koilo? And Bar Kapara Savar, and Bar Kapara is of the opinion, Loi mechayiv elachada. That Issa Koilo, we would not say Issa Chalal Issa. Only by Issa Moisif, not by Issa Koilo. Okay? Now, we're going to go through the three cases to see what the Issa of Koilo is, and you'll get a really good understanding exactly how Issa Koilo works. Guys, good? So we're going to go through three scenarios, right? The first one, again, a Zor that does work in the Beis HaMikdash on Shabbos. Now, Umay Issa Koilo Ika in the three scenarios. Hacha. Bishlema Zar Mei Karish Shari Bimalacha. The Zar is able to go ahead and do Malacha on Shabbos, guys. A Zar can do Malacha on Shabbos, no problem. Not everyone can do Malacha on Shabbos, right? Anyone can do malach on Shabbos. But it's also to do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. That's the given. So you could do work on Shabbos anywhere, but
work before Shabbos.
It would be what?
Work before Shabbos.
It would be asa.
Before Shabbos. He can do work before Shabbos.
Yeah, before Shabbos. Before Shabbos.
You weren't saying it right.
Before Shabbos. Now, Asyala Shabbos comes along Shabbos, and Migu de Mitzvah b'melacha. Now, because all malacha is asa, so mitzvah nami avoida. That's kailel also the avoida in the Beis Hamikdash. So again, the object over here, the chatich over here, the woman over here is avoida. That the zar can't do it. Now you want to go ahead and add another one by doing avoida on Shabbos. You should be chayiv, guys. That's an issa kailel. Why? It's incorporating Shabbos, something that was asa to the zar all along. And now, again, guys, you see, the avodah is always asa to him. You're not changing the avodah to him. You're adding on to the avodah to him. The eshes ach is always asa. You want to go ahead and be kailo achas ishtay with this. That's the kailo. So therefore, Rabbi Yossi is obviously of the opinion that you're issa chalal issa, and you will be chayiv for two, for Zoris and for Shabbos, right? Balmum meikara shari ba'achila. A balmum is able to eat kachin. I guess this is a little different because again, you're not going to be mechayiv for achila, guys. You're going to be mechayiv from doing the avoida bituma, but we have to go ahead and somehow connect it, and we're connecting with achila. Balmum meikara shari ba'achila. A balmum who can't do the avoida is permitted to eat kachim. However, v'yaseh ba'avoida. So now the avoida again is the object again. He can't do the avoida. He's a balmum. Like a zor can't do the avoida, a balmum can't do the avoida. Imtilei, now he becomes tameh. So what? Migu de mitzvah ba'achila. Now as a result of becoming tameh, he's asa to eat. Mitzvah nami ba'avoida. It includes the avoida. It's kailul the avoida. Even though previously it was asa ba'avoida. Now, when it comes Tameh, Tameh can't do the Avodah. So that's the what? It's the Kailol. So those are two places where it's the Kailol, where Rabbi Yossi would say Yechayev for Zoris, and Yechayev for Shabbos and Zoris, and Yechayev for what? For Tumah. Now, what's the next case? The case is Malika, eating what? A Zor eating Nevela. Says Malika b'vasachasi. The Mishkachasla, b'is the Kailol loy Mishkachasla. How does the Issa guys of Malika come about? How does the Issa of Malika come about? Only when you went ahead and outside, guys, outside. Before you did Malika, you have a bird. That's a korban. It's usher on everybody. It's me'ila. It's kachim. Even a kohen can't use it. Before you do Malika, it's a korban. If you go ahead and have enough from that bird, you're chayiv to bring an asham, ilis, and pay a karen and a chaimish, right? What happens when you do malika, guys? It's paka the issa of me'ilah, and it matters it to the kohen. At the same time, it's mattering the kohen. It's also creating what's called the vela. Malika is where you take your nail and put it in the back. You're not doing a shchita. You're taking a right nail, puncturing the spinal column, and cutting the kana and the veshet. So what we call Malik, what they call Malik in the Beis Hamikdash, we call Nevela in the Chutzlar, outside the Beis Hamikdash. So bivas achas, what's happening? You have the issue of Zoris and you have the issue of Nevela. So this is not Issa Kailul, guys. This is not Issa Kailul. So again, if you're telling me the Svaras HaMachloikis is in Issa Kailul, that doesn't explain the last of the three cases where they argue. How are we doing? One more time. 3 cases, right? You want to tell me the machloikis between Rabbi Yossi and excuse me, Rabbi Chia and Bakapara is whether Rabbi Yossi holds Issa Kailul or not. Rabbi Yossi holds Yechayev 2, Rabbi Shimon holds Yechayev 1. So Bar Kapara, and you got to keep cheshbon over here. Bar Kapara and Rabbi Chia are arguing the shita of Rabbi Chia, who says Issa Chalal Issa. So Bishleim, if you hold Issa Chalal Issa by Issa Kailol, you explain 2 of the cases. The first 2. You didn't explain the last one. The last one's with Vasachas. Vasachas, there's no svara to say Nachayv. There's no svara to say Nachayv twice. So it's not Issa Kailol. So that's the problem in your explanation. Good? Says the Gemara now. Ella Says the Gemara, Ella. So what does Ella always mean? Whatever you understood till now that I just explained to you is going by the wayside. But the most devastating word to a Baal, Ella. Ella, says the Gemara. Kamiflagi be'issa b'vasachas. You know what the issa is? Now we're working backwards. Since scenario number 3 is b'vasachas, scenario 1 and 2 also will be b'vasachas. And now the Gemara is going to figure out how do you have b'vasachas by Zorid and Shabbos? How do you have issa b'vasachas by Balmum and Ma'ad and Tumah? That's what we want to find out, right? And then we have a scenario set in one phase, right? Says the Gemara. Ella kamifli b'issa b'vasachas. The machloikis between Reb Yosi, between Reb Chia and Bar Kapara in Reb Yosi is whether what? Whether you say 2 or 1 by vasachas. Reb Chia sava Reb Yosi b'issa b'vasachas mechayev tarti. U'Bar Kapara sava loy mechayev elachada. Fred the Gemara v'hocha may issa b'vasachas ikahocha. So what are in the first 2 scenarios, what's the vasachas? Clearly the last case, Malika and Nevela and Zoras came at the same time. Now, the first case, Zor Shashimis b'Shabbos, and what do you have? Kigoin. The Isi Shtei Sa'aris b'Shabbos. When he entered Shabbos, guys, he was a cotton. Since he was a cotton, he's not mechayev for Zarus, and he's not mechayev for Shabbos. And then when he's doing the avodah shoin, he becomes vad Shabbos. So b'vasachas you have the chiyuv of Zarus and the chiyuv of Shabbos. Kigoin the Asi Shtei Sa'aris b'Shabbos. Davli Zarus b'Shabbos b'hadei adadi. Balmum nami kigoin the Asi Shtei Sa'aris the itmalei. No, but he was a balmum, but since he's a cotton, it's not considered anything. He goes into the Beis Hamikdash, and then he's tamei, and then shine. But what happens? And he becomes tamei Beis Hamikdash when he becomes what a gadol. The havlei balmum mituma b'adei adadi. Inami shechatach etzboi b'sakin tameya. He cuts off his finger with a tummy to sakin. So not bad enough that it became a balmum by cutting his finger. It was tummy because why? Because the knife cut him. Good. So therefore you have vasachas. So very good. So now we have it now. Bishlei mil Reb Chia. Very good according to Reb Chia. Kiyasnai elididei alibad Reb Yosi. Now, guys, outside. You know what Yevamot is? Even when it's the non-Yevamot sugyas, every line is hard. It's just hard Gemara. It's Peshka. So we set it up. Let's just recap what we saw so far. We saw the Reb Yosi holds Issa Chalalissa. We have machloikis between Reb Chia and Bar Kapara in 3 scenarios, and we want to be masber that based upon the sheet of Reb Yosi at Yechayev 2, and we were successful in saying bivasachas. Good, great. So you have vasachas. Therefore, I'm chayiv twice in each one of those scenarios. Bar Kapara said you chayiv once. Each one, Reb Chia and Bar Kapara swore. This is what they heard from Rabbeinu HaKadosh from Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. I learned 2, and you learned 1. What the Gemara is now going to do for the next few lines is to figure out how's it possible that they both made a mistake. What was the dialogue that Rebbe heard 2? And Bar Kapara heard 1 from the same person. Guys, again, yesterday's Gemara. The same person is telling him 2 different opinions. Now we're going behind the scenes. How did that happen? What exactly happened based upon the information you just gave me? How'd that happen? So says the Gemara, here we go, guys. Here's what happened. So Bishleim Reb Chia, who says Yechayev twice, Kiasnia lididei aliba de Reb Yosi, when Rebbe taught it to Reb Chia, according to Reb Yosi, Yechayev twice. Kiasnayil Bar Kapara aliba de Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon says you only chayev once. So that's what he heard. In other words, there's a way of explaining the discrepancy between what, right? To explain the discrepancy between Reb Chia is 2 and Bar Kapara is 1, because it depends upon whether it's a chalalissa or ain't it's a chalalissa. So late Reb Shimon, guys, afil bivas achas, you'd only be chayiv once, right? In the scenario where Reb Yosi holds you chayiv twice, Why? Because that's what Reb Chia learned in Reb Yossi. B'vasachas, there Reb Shimon held you only chayiv once. And that's what Bar Kapara heard. He heard the sheet of Reb Shimon, so we can explain the discrepancy between the two. Rebbe taught according to Reb Chia one thing, and Rebbe Bar Kapara made a mistake. He thought he was teaching him in Reb Chia. He thought he was teaching him in Reb Yossi. He was teaching him Reb Shimon Shita, but he taught him what in. So therefore, Reb Chia swore, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I swear he only said two." And Bar Kapara made a mistake because he thought in the Shita of Reb Yossi holds two, he held one. But really, what was he teaching him? He was teaching Reb Shimon Shita. So I can explain the whole dialogue why you went wrong. One more time. The given is that Reb Chia swore Rebbe taught two. Bar Kapara swore Rebbe taught one. How do we explain that? Very good. If they're going the Shita of Reb Yossi, I got Reb Chia cold. Reb Chia was taught by Rebbe twice because he's going the Shita of Reb Yossi. Bar Kapara made a mistake. He thought he taught him one in the Shita of Reb Yossi. Really, he was teaching him the Shita of Reb Shimon. That's the mistake. That's why he said one. Okay, very good. It says, Bishleima Reb Chia ki yisnayel l'didei alibad Reb Yossi ki yisnayel Bar Kapara alibad Reb Shimon. And Bar Kapara made a mistake thinking he was teaching him the Shita of Reb Yossi. El Bar Kapara, Leit Bar Kapara. Guys, look at this. Leit Bar Kapara, who was he teaching him? Who's Shita? Reb Yossi, right? What did Reb Yossi hold according to Bar Kapara? One. So he thought that Reb Chia was lying to him? How do you explain two? Again, forget Reb Shimon. Bar Kapara thought he was teaching him Reb Yossi Shita. And he heard from Rebbe Yossi said one. Now came along Reb Chia and swore to him that Rebbe taught him two. So what? Bar Kapara thought that what? He was lying? Because Bar Kapara heard from Rebbe in the Shitas of Reb Yossi one. And now comes along what? Reb Chia and say, no, I heard two. So, Fred the Gemara. So, Elul Bar Kapara, Reb Chia, Shikuri Kamishaka. So, guys, guess what? That can't be the machlokes. That can't be the machlokes because it is with throwing out the bavasachas. Forget that; it's gone. Ella kamifligi be'issa bavasachas v'alibed Reb Shimon. They're not arguing in issa bavasachas according to Reb Yossi. They're arguing in bavasachas according to Reb Shimon. Now, guys, what did Reb Shimon say? If a man is mezana with a woman and she's eishes ach and she's what and she is achas ishtoi, whichever one came first, that's going to be the one he's chayav for. So if he married his wife first, and then his brother married his sister, he's chayav for achas ishtoi. If his brother married the sister and then he married that, he's chayav for eishes ach. Whichever one came first, that's when he's going to be chayav. But only once. Guys, good? That's Rav Shimon Shita. Now, who's going to have to answer up? We're going to have to answer Reb Chia, because again, Reb Shimon said, guys, only chayav once. So now we're going to have to answer the Shita of Reb Shimon. So Bishleim Reb Chia, Kameshtaba, he swore, La Fuke Reb Shimon Mechaskase. He wanted to get Reb Shimon off his chazaka. 1 second. Reb Shimon, right? He held once, right? He held once in that scenario. That's because it didn't happen with Vasachas. Guys, the whole is guys, look at me. The whole Isser of Eishes Ach and Achas Ishtoi happened one after the other. Therefore, Rav Shimon holds one. So Rav Chia had to swear in the sheet of Rav Shimon, it's different when what? It's different in all those three scenarios. Why? Because they all happen with Vasachas. Since the Vasachas, Rav Shimon will be moided Yechayev 2. When does Rav Shimon say Yechayev 1? That's when the Isser was Chal Le'acha the other Isser. But when the Isser was Chal Bivas Achas, then Rav Shimon holds Yechayev 2. And that's where Rav Chia swore. No. Rebbe taught us in the Shita of what? Of Rav Shimon 1, only when what? It was one after the other. Bivas Achas, no. Why is he swearing? In other words, guys, that's exactly Rav Shimon held. 1. No difference with Vasachas, no difference in Achas. Says Gemara Kasha Inachinami. It's shver why Bar Kapara swore. So right now we have a pshat to explain the machlokes between Bar Kapara and Reb Chia, that they were taught by Rebbe in the shitas of Reb Shimon, right? They were taught something. mistakenly, Bar Kapara thought when he taught him one, well, he wasn't mistaken. He thought one because Rav Shimon always holds one. And Reb Chia said he only holds one when the Chiyuv comes one after the other, like by Eisha Sach and Achas Ishtay, where the Shita becomes at the same time, like Zor, Shabbos, Palmun, Tomei, and Malika, then he would hold two. And that's the machlokes. Bishlei the Bakapora, Kiyasnaya, Rav, Rebbe Lididei, Ali Reb Shimon, right? Kiyasnaya Reb Chia, Ali the Rebbe Yosi. So Bakapora understands that. Now the Gemara is going to be the opposite way, guys. Bakapora can understand Reb Chia's mistake. In other words, he taught me Shitas Reb Shimon, yet he mistakenly thought he's teaching Reb Shimon, but he was teaching Reb Yosi. El Reb Chia Bakapora Shikuri Kamashaka. Like Reb Chia was Bakapora lying. Same thing. When Rebbe taught me, he taught me two of the things Patur, Isnaya, the Issa Koilel Isnaya, and he held me Issa Koilel, Balibad Reb Shimon. So in other words, guys, we said there are three cases. The Zor, Shabbos, Issa Koilel, the first way to learn, right? The Issa Shabbos was Koilel, all of that. The Balmum and the Tumah, right? Balmum and Tumah, Issa Koilel. The last case of Vasachas. So he taught him two cases of what? Of Issa Koilel, and according to Rav Shimon, that what? You chayiv twice, because by Issa Koilel it said you be chayiv. The chazil bakapar lezor shocham that you pot. Excuse me. The chazil bakapar lezor shocham malika. That what? It was lumped in there, and even though it was a chiyav vasachas. The idea the damile, and since they were similar because they sound similar. Zor this, balmum this. Arve badade. He made one big challenge out of it. The ayin ba v'lei ashkech el b'vasachas, and he only found the b'vasachas, and therefore he held since the b'vasachas you only chayiv, just like you only chayiv once there, you chayiv once there. The sova midahab b'vasachas hanami b'vasachas, with the hanach lifter, hanach nami lifter from the other one. Just like over here, that you only chayiv once. By here, you only chayiv once over there. So that was the chilik between. That's what he learned. He thought that they made a mistake, lumped them all together. Patur here doesn't mean patur gami. He's patur from the other one. If it's done with vasachas, if Shimon holds also ein isachalal, you only be chayiv for zor. Zor comes first, guys, right? Couldn't call everything, and therefore what? You be chayiv for zoris. Meisive, we're going to slug up akapara now. Zor sheshimesh b'Shabbos, zor that goes to work on Shabbos, ubalmum sheshimesh b'tuma, and a balmum that's mishamesh b'tuma. Yesh kam mishum zaros umishum Shabbos umishum balmum. So in other words, both cases you can be chayiv. Umishum Tuma, all cases. Div Reb Yosi, Reb Shimon Aimer, and Kalim Mishum Zaros Ubal Mumbavad. Forget about the Tuma, forget about the Shabbos. In other words, the Zaros which came first, Ein Isachal Alissa. Okay, now, Ve'ilu Malika Sharia, they left out Malika. Now you told me before Vasachas Malika would be chayiv, right? You left out Malika. Why did Reb Shimon leave out Malika? Leman Sharia, who did they leave out in the Cheshbon? We have 1-1, and now Mashma that what, guys? Mashma by Bivas you be chayiv twice. Again, one more time. By the first two, we have machloikis. Reb Chia says chayiv 2, Bakapara says chayiv 1. They don't discuss the case of Malika. Who was that said according to leaving that out? Was it said leaving it out according to Reb Chia? Was it leaving out according to Bakapara? It says the Gemara. What? Leman Shaya, according to who do you leave it out? Elim Reb Yosi, excuse Reb Yosi Reb Shimon, like I said Bakapara, Reb Chia meant Reb Yosi Reb Shimon. Elim Reb Yosi, Hash Reb Yosi, B'isa Koil Mechayev. Reb Yosi says B'isa Koil Mechayev, B'isa Basachas Miboy. There's more of a svar to say Issa Chalalissa by Basachas than Issa Koil. Elolav, it must be Reb Shimon. He was saying it according to Reb Shimon. Why was he saying according to Reb Shimon? Guys, what was he saying? Watch. By Issa Koil 1. By you left out the case of Malika because there you chayiv twice. And who's this according to? Reb Shimon. So you see, Bar Kapara is wrong, mistakenly thinking that Reb Shimon would hold vasachas you chayiv once, you chayiv twice. Elolav Reb Shimon, ubi issa koil hu depata. Only the first two cases are pata. Right? Aval b'issa vasachas, which he left out. He didn't include Malika with the other two because it has a different halacha than the other two. The other two is a koil you chayiv once. He left this one out because you chayiv twice. Who said this? Shitas of Shimon. Why did Bar Kapara hold in Shitas of Shimon, guys? He said you only chayiv once. Right? And therefore, tiyufta de Bar Kapara tiyufta. It's an upslug what? It's an upslug what on Bar Kapara in Reb Shimon. You only chayiv twice. So B's out Bar Kapara in Reb Shimon. So therefore, you chayiv twice. Okay, again, the sugya is a koilel, it's the moisif. According to the sugya, it's a koilel. It's not chal, it's the moisif is. According to everybody, it seems. B'vas achas, initially we thought it was a machloikis. It seems in the end that no, everyone would say, b'vas achas, we say, issa chal al issa. When would the machloikis be? The question would be by an issa koilel. And again, what is an issa koilel? We have an existing Isser, a Masar al Zor. Now Shabbos comes in, and the Shabbos is on everyone. So is it Koil the Zor too? I have a Balmum, a Masar al Migdash. Now I have an Isser Tumah. Is it Koil everybody? That's an Isser Koil. It's a Moisif. I'm the only one that's Asa. And now it comes along another Isser that includes other Isurim. It makes more Isurim. That's an Isser Moisif. Since it's Moisif on other people, it includes me as well. That's the Sugya. Home stretch. Let's finish up. Zor Sheshimis b'Shabbos b'Mai. Now he did Shemish b'Shabbos, guys. What's the 4 avodas you possibly can do on Shabbos? Let's go through the 4 avodas: Shchita, Kabbalah, Halacha, Sarika. The 4 avodas Adam, which if you've been in shir, you know when you sleep. Again, if you haven't been in shir, listen up. Shechting the animal, receiving the blood from the animal, walking over to the mizbeach and doing Sarika. On the mizbeach, burning it. Good. Which 2 would have a Shabbos problem, guys? Which 2 would you have a Shabbos problem? Number 1 and number 4. Number 1 and number 4. There's no Isser in receiving blood. There's no Isser walking over blood. It's one Rishus. Shechting an animal is Netilas Neshama. Burning is an Isser of Havara, correct? So therefore, the only 2 that are problematic is this. Listen to a Geschmacke kasha, guys. Shchita, kosher bizarre or not. Shchita, you don't need to be a kohen. So is there Issa Zaris by Shchita? No. Who Shita says Yechayiv twice over Issa Chalissa? Rabbi Yossi, guys, right? Rabbi Yossi is the one who says that he's the one who Rabbi Chia said has been Rabbi Yossi, right? He's Chayiv twice. We have throughout Shas Machloikis, we've had it in this Masech and others. Why does it say by Shabbos Kamalocha Sasu? And then a separate malacha like Sevaru Eish B'chol Mash V'Seichem. 2 opinions. The opinion of Rav Nassim is to tell you don't have to do all 39 to Mechayev. Even if you do 1, Yechayev. The opinion of someone is to tell me it's that Le Sevaru is different than any other Issa. Why? Chil Shabbos is Karis and Skila. Lav is what? Havara is alive. It's Malchus. Guess who that is? It's Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara, Gavaldig Kasha. You give me a case of Zar that Chayiv twice. Why is the Zar Chayiv? If it's the Shchita in the Avodah, he's allowed to do it. And if it's the Havara, it's a Lav. It's not a Chayiv Chatas. Gavaldig Kasha. Remember the Lamdish Kasha with the 2 Yediyas that you have, Baruch Hashem. Says the Gemara the Kasha. Says the Gemara, Zar sheshimus b'Shabbos b'Mai. Shchita b'Zar k'sheira. So therefore, there's nothing wrong. V'Kabbalah v'Halacha tilta ba'almahu. It's carrying it, walking it. That's nothing. It's carrying. Haktara, burning it. V'Amar Rabbi Yossi havara l'lav yatzasa. It's a lav. It's not a chiyuv curse or skila. So Amrav Acha Bar Yaakov, b'shchitas parish shel kohen gadol. You're shechting the power of the kohen gadol. Uchedivrei ha'omer shchitas parish shel kohen gadol b'zar psula. In other words, the zar Yom Kippur, all the avodah Yom Kippur has to be done all the day the kohen gadol, even the shchita. So if a zar would do that, you'd be chayiv for shchita. So no kimta. Hihachi, my area zar I feel a kohen head nami. If it's unique what that has to be the kohen gadol. So why do you learn a zar, which is mashma non kohen? Even a regular kohen would be a zar. And for the Gemara, you're right. Shezar etzloi kamar. It's not speaking about a non kohen. It's speaking of someone who's a stranger to that korban, which includes a kohen, because that kohen is unique to the kohen gadol. So therefore, anyone who's a stranger to that korban is considered a zar. Say nachinami. Maskala Ravashi. Midi chatas katani, I love it katani. It doesn't anything sing about chatas. It doesn't say anything about a lav. Isur ba'alma. It's only speaking about isurim. There's one Rashi that I did not do with you because there's many Rashis I don't do with you. If you take a look at Lamed Beis, go back. Lamed Beis. Count up 7 lines from the bottom. See the Rashi Chayiv Beis? Rashi, you see the Rashi Chayiv Beis? Beis Isurei Kochoshev. The Mishum Zaris Einkan Chatas. Al Zar, if a Zar does the avoid, he's not being a Chatas. You know why? The Al Zedoinoi, because if he did it b'mezid, Misa b'dei Shemayim hu. Vein Chayiv Chatas Ella Al Shigagais Karis. The rule of thumb in the first Mishnah in the Krisus is the only time you chayiv a carbon chatas is if b'mezid it will be a chiyav kares. If it's not a chiyav kares b'mezid, you're not chayiv a chatas. If you would do a zar, if you do the avoida b'mezid, it's misi b'dei shemayim. Therefore, it's not a chiyav kares. The mele you chayiv a chatas. So when it says chayiv twice over here, it doesn't mean that chayiv only chiyav chatas. It means isser period. And that's the teretz of the Gemara now, Dishma. If I Gemara Kasha, you don't have a chiyuv, who cares? But it's asa, right? All I care about is Yisurim. So I don't need a convoluted okimta of a par of a kohen gadol, because it's speaking about an isser, it's not speaking about a chiyuv chatas, and therefore the zor is over an isser, no matter what he does, and since it's isser, therefore you chayiv. So let's finish the Gemara. El isur be'almaka choshev. My nafkamina. So if you're not punished, what's nafkamina? We said the other day, lekoivri ben rishayim gemurim, to go ahead and bury him among Rishayim Gemurim. Okay, Bez Hashem, we'll stop over here. Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow I'll be saying shir again in the morning, somewhere in the 9:15, 9:30 area. Wish everyone a good tavach. We'll be in touch.
And tomorrow.